This is the chemistry of cheese. Let's go through the cheese making process. First, you start by heating up some fresh milk. Next, you can add calcium chloride or calcium phosphate. We will come back to this in a minute and explain why it is useful. Next, you will add your bacteria culture. The most common kinds are mesophilic bacteria, which thrive at room temperature, or thermophilic bacteria, which thrive at higher temperatures. These both convert the lactose, or sugar, in milk into lactic acid. This lowers the pH of the milk, which allows the rennet to work best. Now we are at the most important step, adding rennet. Rennet comes from the lining of the fourth stomach of calves, goats, or lambs. Recently, vegetarian rennet options have been produced, which can come from plants including artichokes, thistle, or nettle. There's also microbial rennet produced from fungi or yeast. About 3% of milk is protein. 82% of that milk protein is casein protein, and 12% is whey. Casein forms these micelles that are large spherical macromolecules. They have hydrophobic, or water-hating, insides surrounded by kappa casein tails that are negatively charged. This structure keeps milk as a liquid. This is because the micelles don't want to bind to each other, since negative charges repel each other. Also, water loves to dissolve charged molecules. Rennet has an enzyme called chymosin, which cuts off the negative kappa casein tails. The kappa casein binds with calcium and phosphate minerals that we added at the beginning of our cheese making process. Now the micelles are neutral and hydrophobic. They do not want to stay dissolved in the water, and they do want to bind to each other. As the casein proteins bind together and coagulate, they form the cheese curds that we are familiar with. The liquid whey protein along with the water gets drained, and we are left with our solid cheese. The final step, which only occurs for some cheeses, is the aging process. What happens here is that over time, the bacteria in the cheese breaks down the proteins into smaller peptides and then the individual amino acids. This process is known as proteolysis. This helps to create a stronger and more complex flavor in the cheese.